If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. It looks like the Cleveland Browns are entering a pivotal transition phase, and that means big decisions are on the horizon. With 2025 shaping up as a potential reset year, the team appears ready to offload talent on expiring contracts and shift focus toward building through the 2026 NFL Draft. One of the most prominent names on that potential trade list? None other than cornerback Greg Newsome. Once a highly touted first-round pick in 2020, Newsome's journey with the Browns has been anything but linear. According to Zach Jackson from The Athletic, Newsome is very much on the trading block, and it's not the first time his name has come up in these conversations. Despite Cleveland picking up his fifth-year option last offseason, his stock has dropped noticeably. The Browns aren't likely to contend in the upcoming season, so moving on from Newsome could be a logical, if not necessary, step as they reshape the roster. Newsome entered the league with high expectations and didn't disappoint early on. As a rookie, he immediately became a full-time starter, holding his own against some of the NFL's top receivers. In his first 3 seasons, whenever he was healthy, Newsome was on the field, often taking on critical assignments. His blend of size, speed, and instincts made him a vital piece of Cleveland's defense. But things took a sharp turn in 2024. Early in the season, he lost his starting role to Martin Emerson, a younger player who quickly made the most of his opportunity. While Newsome still saw action in the slot, it wasn't the same role, nor did he carry the same impact. Eventually, a nagging hamstring injury cut his season short, landing him on injured reserve. That year ended up being the worst of his career statistically, and now questions about his future in Cleveland are more pressing than ever. Pro Football Focus numbers don't lie, and unfortunately for Newsome, the numbers from 2024 were alarming. His 52.2 overall grade and 54.0 coverage grade marked a dramatic decline from previous seasons, where he had consistently graded in the high 60s or low 70s. Those figures place him well below average for NFL cornerbacks, a reality that's hard to ignore. What's particularly concerning is the timing of this drop. With the Browns not in contention and looking to reallocate resources, any sign of regression becomes a catalyst for trade talks. And when you're on the final year of your rookie deal, every snap and every grade starts to matter even more. Teams around the league will surely be looking at his tape from 2021 through 2023 and weighing that against his recent performance and injury history. The window for proving he still belongs as a top-tier corner is rapidly closing. What complicates matters even more is Newsome's mindset going into 2025. Back in February, he didn't mince words. He was frustrated, understandably so. After starting his career as a core part of the defense, being moved into a rotational role didn't sit well with him. He's expected to come into training camp this summer with something to prove, hoping to reclaim a starting position. But if he fails to do so, don't be surprised if he formally asks to be traded before week 1. Players want to be on the field, especially in contract years, and Newsome knows that a return to form could mean big money in 2026. But that resurgence likely won't happen sitting behind Emerson or playing limited snaps in the slot. The pressure is on, not just to make the roster, but to regain relevance. Even if Newsome does win the starting job in training camp, that doesn't mean he's off the trade market. In fact, he might become even more valuable to other teams if he starts strong. With the trade deadline set for early November, the Browns could look to showcase him during the early part of the season, hoping to raise his value and then flip him for a solid return. This isn't speculation, it's practically strategy. Cleveland has reportedly shopped Newsome twice in the last 12 months. Combine that with their ongoing salary cap issues, and it becomes pretty clear his days in brown and orange are numbered. The organization would rather get something for him now than wait and hope for a compensatory pick in 2027. It's a business. And right now, Newsome is an asset that could bring back future value. The financial aspect of a potential Newsome trade can't be overlooked. He's owed a fully guaranteed $13.4 million for 2025, a hefty price tag for a cornerback coming off his worst professional season. That number alone could scare off a few interested parties, especially teams with limited cap flexibility. As the season progresses, the cap hit for any acquiring team would naturally decrease, but it still won't be cheap. Newsome would still be owed about $6.7 million for the second half of the year, and that's not pocket change. For a trade to happen, Cleveland might need to sweeten the deal by eating part of that salary. It's not ideal for the Browns, but it could be necessary to spark real trade interest and facilitate a move before the deadline arrives. In terms of his value around the league, teams will be evaluating two main factors: performance potential and durability. The first is still somewhat up for debate. His early years suggest a capable starter, while 2024 raises red flags. The second, though, is even more troubling. Throughout his career, Newsome has averaged just 13.5 games per season. That durability issue is going to matter, especially when paired with a big salary and a down year. For a team to give up a mid-round pick or more, they'll need to be convinced Newsome can stay healthy and contribute. His time on injured reserve last December only adds to the skepticism. Still, corners are always in demand, and someone out there will likely believe they can revive his career with the right scheme and coaching. Cleveland's cornerback room remains deep even without Newsome. Martin Emerson has stepped up as a reliable outside presence, and Denzel Ward continues to perform at a high level when healthy. That leaves Newsome as somewhat of a luxury, or maybe even an odd man out. Slot corners are valuable, but when you're making $13.4 million and you're not an every down player, teams start to ask hard questions. The Browns have bigger issues to solve in 2025, and holding on to expensive depth just doesn't make much sense. That's especially true when the organization is clearly focused on 2026 draft positioning. Trading Newsome gives them more flexibility, both in terms of cap space and roster structure, and they may not want to wait around just to see if he bounces back. Ultimately, this situation is all about timing. The Browns are making a calculated bet. They'd rather take the sure thing of a 2026 draft pick now than gamble on a better outcome next offseason. For Newsome, it's a critical crossroads in his career. He still has the tools and the resume to attract interest, but the window for proving himself is closing fast. Training camp, preseason, and the early part of the regular season may be his final audition. Not just for the Browns, but for the rest of the league. If he can show flashes of his 2021 and 2022 form, someone will bite. But if the struggles continue and injuries pile up again, he could find himself without a long-term home by 2026. Both sides know what's at stake, and a move seems increasingly inevitable. Keep an eye on this one. It's far from over. Enjoying the content so far. Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. In Cleveland, the air is thick with speculation, tension, on the kind of dramatic energy that only the NFL can bring. This week, the Browns training facility turned into a cauldron of rumors after head coach Kevin Stefanski reportedly dropped a bombshell behind closed doors aimed at a certain unnamed but clearly rebellious player. Sources close to the team have whispered about a fiery team meeting where Stefanski, fed up with what he called a lack of commitment, stood before his squad and let loose. The alleged words, "If you don't want to commit, get out." Simple, direct, and clearly meant to shake the walls. Those present say the locker room fell into silence, one of those moments where even veterans sit upright and rookies freeze. Nobody said a word. But that silence? It spoke volumes. And ever since that moment, the internet, sports radio, and even rival teams can't stop buzzing about what really went down. According to several anonymous insiders, the message wasn't just a general pep talk or locker room motivation. It was personal. One player, a known name, reportedly rolled his eyes, scoffed at drills, and skipped optional workouts during the offseason, leading to mounting frustrations among both coaching staff and teammates. While Stefanski didn't name names publicly, all signs point to a growing rift within the locker room. This isn't your run-of-the-mill disagreement over playing time or practice reps. This feels deeper. Players want unity. Coaches demand discipline. And in a league where every inch matters, internal friction can tear even the most talented squads apart. So when a head coach like Stefanski, a guy known more for strategy than speeches, raises his voice, it resonates. The message might have been aimed at one, but it was heard by all. And now fans are playing detective, dissecting post-practice. Interviews and body language for clues. What adds fuel to this fire is that this so-called rebellious player isn't just any backup or fringe roster guy. Rumors hint at someone high profile, possibly even a starter, someone who the fan base has cheered for and critics have analyzed endlessly. Think wide receiver or defensive standout. Names are flying around the internet, but none have been confirmed. What is known is that the Browns have no room for off-the-field distractions. The AFC North is a battlefield this year, and if Cleveland wants to rise, they need every piece moving in sync. One misaligned gear and a whole engine sputters. Stefanski's message wasn't just about commitment, it was a line drawn in the sand. In the NFL, coaches often protect their stars. When one chooses confrontation instead, it means something serious is boiling underneath. Either that, or Stefanski's playing a strategic game, sending a message through media buzz to spark a change before preseason heat kicks in. Behind the scenes, some sources believe this could be a calculated move by Stefanski, a psychological maneuver to tighten the team's unity before things spiral. After all, nothing rallies a locker room quite like a common enemy or a wake-up call. But it's risky. If the player in question doesn't respond positively, we could be staring at a trade request or worse, a team divided. Veterans reportedly backed the coach's message, clapping and nodding as Stefanski finished his speech, but younger players, some look shocked, others tight-lipped, and that's where things get murky. Who's truly with the coach and who's on the fence? The team's front office has declined to comment, which, let's be honest, only throws more gasoline on this smoldering story. Every unanswered question becomes a blank canvas for speculation. And in Cleveland, a franchise desperate to shake. The weight of decades, every move is magnified. Local media outlets are trying to piece the puzzle together. Some beat reporters claim they've seen certain players unfollow teammates on Instagram, a petty but often telling modern sign of locker room beef. One reporter even mentioned that a star player left practice early this week, citing personal reasons. Of course, that could mean anything or nothing. But in the wake of Stefanski's fiery remarks, fans and analysts alike are connecting the dots. Is this the start of a culture reset? Or is it a bubbling feud that could derail the season before it begins? One thing's for sure, Stefanski isn't backing down. This wasn't a man unsure of his authority. This was a leader reclaiming his team. And with expectations sky high this season, especially after recent roster investments, the Browns simply can't afford dysfunction. So if a big-name player really is out of sync, we might see some shocking headlines in the coming weeks. Former players have even chimed in. One ex-Brown speaking anonymously on a radio show said he's not surprised Stefanski finally snapped. There's been entitlement in that locker room for a while, he said. You've got talent, sure, but talent without discipline gets you nowhere. Strong words, and they echo a sentiment some fans have voiced for seasons that something has always felt just slightly off with this team's chemistry. Could this be Stefanski's way of recalibrating the locker room culture? If so, it's a bold, necessary move, but it's also a gamble. Alienate the wrong guy and you lose part of the locker room. Do nothing and you risk letting rot fester. Beneath the surface, this team isn't rebuilding anymore. They're built to win now. And drama like this, it doesn't go unnoticed. Not by fans, not by the league, and certainly not by opponents eager to exploit any crack in the Browns' foundation. Social media has turned into a war zone of opinions. Fans are split. Some are applauding Stefanski for taking a hard stance and demanding accountability. Finally, a coach with a backbone, one fan tweeted. Others are more cautious, worried that this might lead to unnecessary distractions and derail what could be a promising season. Some believe the mystery player might be someone with a history of friction, players who've previously shown signs of diva behavior or clashed with authority. But even without a confirmed name, the narrative has taken on a life of its own. Every sideline whisper, every cryptic emoji on Twitter, every shrug at a press conference, it's all being dissected like a conspiracy theory. And Stefanski? He's remained composed, neither confirming nor denying anything, which frankly just makes the rumor mill churn even harder. In today's NFL, silence often speaks louder than any press release. What complicates matters is the timing. Training camp is around the corner. This is the stretch when teams gel, when rosters solidify, when schemes are drilled into muscle memory. The Browns don't need drama, they need focus, they need clarity. And yet here we are, tangled in rumors, decoding coach speak, and watching every player's expression during press scrums. Some fans are now calling for transparency. If there's an issue, put it on the table, one commenter said. But others argue this is exactly how great teams evolve, through tough conversations and uncomfortable truths. If Stefanski's outburst sparks a culture shift, it could be remembered as the turning point. But if it fractures the locker room, it'll be one more chapter in Cleveland's long history of internal implosions. Either way, something has changed in Berea. The energy feels different, less polished, more raw. And in the NFL, raw can either be refined or combust spectacularly. Meanwhile, rival teams are watching with interest. Scouts and executives from across the league are reportedly monitoring the situation closely, especially those looking to make a sneaky trade. If a high-profile Browns player suddenly becomes disgruntled or alienated, there could be suitors ready to pounce. After all, the NFL is a business, and unrest is opportunity. Teams love talented players unhappy in their current environment. The question is, will Cleveland let it get that far? Stefanski's statement, as powerful as it was, now comes with a price. It demands follow-through. Either the player in question steps in line or the Browns take a stand. But doing nothing isn't an option anymore. Eyes are on Cleveland. And while some still see potential Super Bowl dark horses, others smell smoke and expect fire. Either way, this saga is far from over. And if history has taught us anything, it's that the NFL never stays quiet for long. So here we are, in the calm before what could be a storm or a breakthrough. Stefanski's message, whether calculated or emotional, has drawn a clear boundary. Commitment is non-negotiable. And whoever that rebellious player is, he now finds himself at a crossroads. Fall in line and become part of something bigger, or drift further into isolation and risk becoming expendable. The coming days will tell us everything. Watch who shows up to practice early. Watch who speaks to the media. Watch the sidelines, the body language, the rotations. There's a narrative unfolding in Cleveland, and it's gripping. This isn't just about one quote or one player. It's about a team trying to define who they are. Are they contenders? Are they united? Or are they still searching for that elusive identity? For now, we're left with speculation, whispers, and one very clear warning from the man in charge. If you don't want to commit, get out. Thanks for riding with us on another Browns Blitz. If you like the video, share it. With a fellow fan, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you're always part of the Dawg Pound conversation. Go Browns!